When people talk about Stranger Things, the conversation almost always begins with the obvious. The monsters, the synth score, the 80s nostalgia. Which season felt the most Spielberg? And is there really a secret 9th episode to season 5? Sure, those things matter, except for the whole conformity gate nonsense.
So I decided, oh shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deeper.
They are part of the show's identity and part of why it became a phenomenon. But they are not the only reason the series lasted nearly a decade or why it left the kind of emotional mark that lingers long after the final episode. The real reason Stranger Things endured is because its emotional center belonged to a child who was never allowed to be a child. A girl with a shaved head, dressed in a hospital gown, who barely spoke and did not even know her own name. A character introduced not as a hero or a chosen one, but as an object. From that moment forward, the series tells a story far more intimate than its genre trapping suggests. This is the story of Eleven, not just how she saved the world, but how she learned to exist in it.
I'm the monster.
From the moment Eleven steps into Hawkins, Indiana in the first season, something feels deeply wrong. She is not simply scared or disoriented. She feels unfinished, as if the natural process of becoming a person was interrupted and replaced with something colder and more deliberate. She is the number 11, one of several children raised inside Hawkins National Laboratory during the 1970s and 80s. Taken from her biological mother, Terry Ives, as an infant, she grows up in an environment built entirely around control. Her childhood is replaced with isolation tanks, observation rooms, and constant testing. Affection is withheld, language is limited, emotional development is not encouraged, it is treated as a flaw. Her appearance reflects that erasure. Institutional clothing, no individuality, no ownership over her own body or image. Her speech is fragmented, not because she lacks intelligence, but because language was never meant to be hers. This is why Eleven's early behavior feels so unsettling. She does not know how to ask for help. She does not understand kindness. Even fear is something she has been trained to internalize rather than express. The world she escapes from is not just dangerous. It is designed to erase her sense of self entirely, which makes what happens next all the more powerful.
Maybe we can call you L, short for 11.
Season 1 does not rescue Eleven through mythology or destiny. It rescues her through something far more human: friendship. When Mike, Dustin, and Lucas find her, they do not know what she is or what she can do. All they know is that she looks scared and alone. These boys are not idolized heroes. They are awkward, emotional, and sometimes selfish. But they do something no adult in Eleven's life ever did. They accept her without conditions. They give her food without asking for anything in return. They offer her shelter without expectation. They include her even when she does not understand the rules of their world. Slowly and without realizing it, they begin teaching her how connection works. The phrase "friends don't lie" becomes one of the defining ideas of the series, not because it is profound, but because it's new to her.
Friends don't lie.
Eleven has lived her entire life surrounded by manipulation. Trust has always been transactional. The idea that someone could care for her without a hidden motive is revolutionary. That is where her humanity begins to take shape. Her supposed sacrifice at the end of season 1 is not impressive because of spectacle. It matters because it is the first decision she makes that is entirely her own. She chooses her friends over the people who raised her. She chooses love over obedience. And for the first time, her power is not being used by someone else. She acts because she wants to protect the people who gave her a home.
Bitchin'.
Season 2 allows Eleven to exist outside immediate survival, and with that comes a new kind of pain. Living with Jim Hopper introduces her to stability, routine, and a version of protection she has never known. But safety also brings confinement. Hopper keeps her hidden, terrified of losing her. The cabin becomes both refuge and a prison. Eleven's frustration grows not because she wants chaos, but because she wants independence. She misses her friends. She resents being kept in the dark. She is learning what it means to want control over her own life, and she does not yet know how to ask for it. this emotional tension is essential. Hopper's protectiveness comes from fear, not exploitation. But to 11, the difference is not always clear. She has never learned how to separate love from control. Her journey in Season 2 takes her to Chicago, where she seeks out Kali, another child from the lab. Kali represents a possible future shaped entirely by trauma, a life built on anger and retaliation. For the first time, 11 encounters someone who understands her origin without explanation. She experiments with rage, violence, and the idea that power and anger might replace connection. For a moment, it's tempting, but she ultimately walks away. That choice matters. She does not reject anger because it's wrong. She rejects it because it's not who she wants to be. She understands that belonging does not come from a shared trauma alone. It comes from care, trust, and choice. For someone who has never had a childhood, that realization marks a major step forward. When she returns to Hawkins and closes the gate, the act feels different than her Season 1 sacrifice. This time, she knows who she is fighting for, and soon after, Hopper legally adopts her. She is no longer just 11, she just becomes Jane Hopper. And for the first time, she has a name she gets to keep.
Did you spy on me? That's totally against the rules.
I make my own rules.
Season 3 gives 11 something she has never truly had before: normalcy. She dates Mike, she argues with him, she experiences jealousy, embarrassment, and joy. She forms a deeper bond with Max and begins discovering personal taste. These moments are easy to overlook because they're quieter than monster attacks, but for 11, they are monumental. Choosing clothes, developing opinions, expressing preference, these are the building blocks of identity. 11 wants things not because they are necessary for survival, but because they make her happy. That doesn't mean that danger disappears. Hawkins remains unstable. The Mind Flayer returns. Relationships grow more complicated. Arguments hurt because they matter. Fear cuts deeper because there is something to lose. Season 3 makes something clear. Being human does not weaken her, but rather gives her something worth protecting.
And you're a superhero.
Not anymore.
Season 4 strips away comfort and illusion and forces 11 to confront the parts of herself she has spent years avoiding. After moving to California with Joyce Byers, Will, and Jonathan, she attempts to live as Jane Hopper in a world where she no longer has her powers. Without them, she is not feared or hunted. She is ignored, mocked, and bullied. School is cruel in a way Hawkins never was. Isolation returns, but this time it is social rather than physical. Stripped of the abilities that once defined her usefulness, 11 feels exposed and powerless, unsure of who she is without the thing everyone else wanted from her. That vulnerability makes her easy to break. The Nina Project brings her back to the past, but not as a simple power restoration exercise. It is a forced reckoning. 11 is made to relive memories she buried to survive. Hawkins' lab, Brenner, the isolation, the pressure, the belief that every bad thing that happened was somehow her fault. The process does not offer comfort or reassurance. It demands confrontation. What makes this season different is the introduction of Vecna, whose true identity as Henry Creel reconstitutionalizes everything 11 thought she understood about her past. Henry is not just another monster from the Upside Down. He is a mirror, another child shaped by the lab, another victim of Brenner's manipulation. But where 11 learned to reach outward, Henry turned inward. Where she found connection, he embraced control. He represents the version of herself she could have become if isolation and anger had won. The revelation that 11 played a role in Henry's transformation is devastating, not because she is guilty in any moral sense, but because it feeds the lie she has carried since childhood. The lie that she is a monster. The lie that her existence causes harm. Brenner encouraged that belief because it kept her obedient. Vecna weaponizes it because it keeps her afraid. This season offers no easy absolution. 11 is not asked to forgive herself in a single moment or reclaim her strength through willpower alone. She is forced to see how deeply she was controlled, how carefully her memories were shaped, and how much her guilt was manufactured to keep her compliant. Henry's fate is not proof of her failure. It is proof of what happens when cruelty is allowed to grow unchecked. When 11 finally confronts Brenner and calls him a monster, it is not an outburst of anger. It is clarity. She understands that version of love was always about ownership. that his belief in her potential never included her well-being, that he saw children as tools long before Vecna ever did. Facing Henry is different. It's not about rejecting a father figure, but about rejecting the idea that pain must define purpose. Eleven does not defeat Vecna by becoming harder or colder. She fights him by refusing to surrender her empathy. It's then that Eleven understands her humanity is not a weakness that needs to be controlled. It is the very thing that separates her from the monster she has been fighting all along. By the time season 5 rolls around, Eleven is no longer someone being used. She is someone choosing. Hawkins is scarred, and once again people look to her as the answer. But season 5 finally asks the question the series has circled since the beginning. Is Eleven a weapon, or is she a life? Hawkins is under military quarantine, Vecna remains a threat, and Eleven is being hunted yet again. The systems that once tried to own her are still reaching for control. What the ending does is refuse certainty. Whether Eleven survives or sacrifices herself is left deliberately ambiguous. That ambiguity is not a trick, but the entire point. Eleven's life began with others deciding what she was. Ending her story without a definitive answer allows her to belong to herself, not to the institutions that once claimed her. In a landscape of television where strong female characters often just means they can fight good, Eleven represents something much more meaningful, a character whose strength comes from emotional growth, not just supernatural abilities. Her power isn't just telekinesis. It's her ability to love, to choose family, to forgive, and to refuse to let trauma define her. Her arc also serves as a powerful metaphor for recovery from childhood trauma. She shows that healing is possible, that we can learn to form healthy relationships even after severe early abuse, and that our worst experiences does not have to determine who we become. Eleven's character development is the emotional backbone of Stranger Things. While other characters have monumental moments and solid growth, no one undergoes the fundamental transformation that Eleven does. She literally learns how to be human, how to love, how to belong, and how to value herself, all the while carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. From a girl who could only communicate in single words to someone who can articulate complex emotional truths, from someone who saw herself as a monster to someone who can confidently reject that label, her journey is nothing short of extraordinary. She's not just the heart of the show because of her powers. She is the heart because she learned how to have one. Eleven's story is not about power, but about choice. She earns her humanity through decisions made under impossible circumstances. She learns trust after betrayal, love after imagination, identity after erasure. She chooses again and again, even when it hurts. That's why her arc resonates. When Stranger Things first came out, no one expected it would run for 5 seasons and become a phenomenon. Yet what anchored the show wasn't just the mystery or the 80s aesthetics. It was the emotional journey of a girl who was meant to be a weapon and became a human instead. Season 5 doesn't necessarily end with a neat bow. It ends with a question. And that's perfect because the show has always been about leaving room for wonder, for heartbreak, and for our own interpretation of what it means to grow up when the world tries to define you before you get a chance to define yourself. Whether Eleven lives or dies, one thing is clear. She no longer belongs to the people who tried to own her. She belongs to herself.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.